another guy who actually thinks he's part of the media, but is absolutely not. He's a Hollywood actor who has perhaps some political aspirations. I don't know. He suddenly keeps showing up on CNN. He's like Jake Tapper's new best friend because he helped Jake write the book. There's a whole passage in there about how Clooney knew it was game over when Joe Biden went to an event with him, and he went up and said hi to President Biden, and Biden had no idea who he was. So now if you're a big Hollywood actor like George Clooney, and somebody doesn't know who you are, clearly they must be insane. Oh, that's mental decline if I ever saw it, right? So Georgie Clooney figured, game over. We need a new guy in charge. And so this is one of the big scenes in Tapper's book that he talks about. So Tapper and Clooney are like this. But you see, in the television world business, when one person gets an interview, you have other anchors that get really upset because they don't have the interview. And so ever since Clooney went on with Tapper, Anderson Cooper's like, me too, right? Like he's the new Me Too. I gotta have Clooney on my show. So he finally got Clooney on, and Clooney, who's trying to pretend that he's some kind of journalist, because you see he's playing one on Broadway, Good Night and Good Luck. He's playing the late Walter Cronkite, of CBS fame back when news was actually news. And he's trying to say that, gosh darn, it must be so hard to be a journalist right now because Donald Trump's in there. I'm just going to say, for the record, Georgie, you don't have any clue what you're talking about. You don't know anything about this. And I was a journalist for the last, since 2000, right? Well, technically much earlier, because I started in 5th grade, literally working at my local paper. But we won't go back that far, all right? I've been a journalist for a very long time, and I've worked at a lot of networks, and I've seen it all of it. And so I'm very familiar with how hard it has been over the last 4 years since Biden came into office. And I'm going to explain a little bit more about that. But first, George jumping the shark, from Fonzie jumping the shark, the Happy Days was over after Fonzie jumped the shark, and so it's become an expression. I don't think he was on Happy Days. I think he was on the show Facts of Our Life, but it's some other sitcom from a similar time. But here he is in his big Anderson Cooper interview.
Give them is something like that. Because a lot of people feel like in this room, probably who are here, feel that we are at our worst right now.
I can make an argument that we're not. I can make an argument that we've had much worse times in our history. 1968, every city in the United States was burning. There was a National Guard was surrounding the White House and the Capitol, and we'd lost Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy and the Tet Offensive. But it's a frustrating time, and I think a scary time for many people. It's a scary time to be a news person, to be in your profession. You've been picked out. 60 Minutes has been picked out. Most news organizations are under fire. That usually happens with demagogues in a way. Usually is a way of, the first places you attack are the news, because that's how we inform ourselves.
Do you think Trump...
Okay, let me be really clear. What CBS News did, re-editing the Kamala clip, was very unethical. I used to work there. I realized the editors knew that she made no sense. Total word salad, right? So they had to clean it up to at least make it somewhat intelligible. This is their justification in their head to the viewer. But my situation or feeling or thought process on that is no, you don't. You know why you don't? You don't because the viewer needs to understand that the woman can't actually complete a sentence or a thought. There aren't that many thoughts going around in Kamala Harris's word salad brain. That needs to be exposed. So a good journalist would actually have allowed her to run on and not helped her like they did, which is why Donald Trump is suing for $20 billion more than the overall net worth of the overall worth, I should say, market cap of one Paramount. Paramount desperate to settle. Ooh, do they ever want to settle? They're talking about, I think, 25 mil. Trump wants more. They're looking at, Disney did 16. He's like, nope, I want more. And you have people dropping like flies right now over at CBS because part of the thing was they wanted an apology. And the president of CBS News doesn't want to give an apology. And the guy who runs 60 Minutes doesn't want to give an apology. And I'm just waiting for, what's his name? The guy who the CBS 60 Minutes executive producer produced Scott Pelley, who's very pompous about everything right now and probably talking to George Clooney too, helping to coach him for his role, right? Good night and good luck. He has not actually resigned. If he were smart, he'd put his money where his mouth was, right? Why doesn't he resign? I wonder. The others did. I'm just saying, here's the thing. It was actually very hard as a journalist, Mr. Clooney, during Biden's time. I actually experienced this full on myself. I was right out in front of the 2020 story saying this is ridiculous. You guys, you're closing everything down. And look, we didn't know a lot. And in fairness, I didn't know a lot, but I'm just a market girl, right? When I see the market tanking 2,000 points a day, I'm like, okay, this is getting out of hand. CNN needs to knock it off with its plain story and let's just kind of take a deep breath. We're going to move forward. You know that the Federal Reserve is going to be there. They always are, whether you like it or not, right? The Federal Reserve is going to be there. Donald Trump's going to be there. We are getting a little out over our skis. We can't just close down the entire economy. I mean, maybe seal the borders, but are you really going to close down your entire economy? You should take care of the people you need to take care of. And, everybody else kind of still needs to move along with it because you need a strong economy to fight this. Well, yours truly, experienced a lot of repercussions from that. And then, as one went forward, I experienced it for sure. Like that was, you look at Facebook, for example, and you couldn't reach your full audience, and there were all these different things that were going on, and it was scary because you didn't know what was going to set anyone off. And so as a journalist, no, I couldn't actually speak my mind. As an American, I couldn't really speak my mind, and cancel culture was on steroids. So for him to sit there and say it's challenging now, at least Joe Biden, forgive me, Donald Trump is out there in front of it, calling journalists out to their face. Terry Moran, I'm looking at you. Terry. I mean, I picked you because I didn't know who the heck you were. This is your big moment. At least he's doing that to their face. Instead, you had a whole team behind the scenes with Biden that was working to police this so-called misinformation, disinformation, cheap fakes, if you dared to show Biden looking like he was lost. Or Dr. Jill was having this done. So they were doing a lot. And in fact, his biggest regret, he told Susan Page at USA Today, when it was all said and done, his biggest regret was that he did not do more to police the misinformation and disinformation. I just have to say, since he's been gone, it's a relief as a journalist. It is a relief because, if you do something, Donald Trump is going to broadcast it from here to eternity. He's mad, whatever. He's mad at ABC. He's mad at CBS. But what was going on behind the scenes where all of those networks felt compelled to give you a state media line all the time? They were never truthful. There was a reason they were never truthful. They couldn't be truthful. They were state media, and anybody who dared to break out of that status quo was penalized for it. It's another reason why I'm just proud of what we've been able to accomplish here, and I really, really hope you subscribe to this show because you know what? We're climbing. What were we? Number 36. We were 52 the week before. We're 36 now. So guys, help me get there, right? Subscribe, all that good stuff.